Oh, joining us now to talk more here on the show. He's back on the show, first time in 2024, but always number one in our hearts. Doug Eldridge. He's the founder of Achilles PR and DLE Agency. You can follow him on Twitter at Achilles_PR. Doug, good to see you. Look, you're a Michigan guy. Let's just get it out of the way. You're 1 for 2 this month. Congrats to the Wolverines. Sorry about the Lions the other night in the NFC title game.
Gosh, what a bittersweet roller coaster. I mean, what an absolute candle on top, feather in the cap for Harbaugh, and for that program, to get 3 straight Big Ten titles, 3 straight wins over the Ohio State, and to go out, when you look at the gauntlet that they ran through to get to that title game and the way they played. I mean, I think that Alabama-Michigan game, to me, is the best college football game since Texas USC in 2005 or 4, whatever it was.
Yeah, January.
But nearly 20 years ago. So that was a heck of a performance for the Wolverines. But I was joking with you before we came on about my family in Detroit and how it was just kind of a march to the gallows text last night, as the game ended. But the reality is that I think that high, while the high wears off, the buoyancy that it's going to leave for the city, they're floating higher in the water than they were this time last year. And we've seen the power of sport to inspire, to encourage, to engage. And, a lot of times people are speaking in platitudes when they discuss that. But then there are real instances that you can point to and substantively say, look, from a qualitative standpoint, this completely changed the quality and caliber of life. And I think you're really going to see that in the Motor City. This has been a heck of a ride. And it was a team that didn't do it pretty. They won ugly games. They were the improbable underdog, even when they were winning the division. And they found a way. They ran out of gas and fell a little short, last night, which was disappointing for all. I loved the memes when it showed, what the Super Bowl the country wants to see, and like one version's purple and one version's Honolulu blue. But it was a heck of a season and really a great game last night.
Yeah, it really was. I was joking, texting with my friend Eric Kramer and joking because, he was, as was the only quarterback ever to lead the Lions to a playoff win since the last NFL championship in 1957. I told him last week, I said, well, now you're off the hook, and now let's go get one more and feel for you guys. I'm a longtime Bear fan, but I feel for you guys, was rooting for you, and sorry that's not going to happen. But I think they should get good things happening in Detroit right now, and well deserved. It's a city that's been through a lot in recent decades, and there's a great resurgence there, and certainly this is a big part of that. So we come down to the Super Bowl. I want to talk to you about kind of the business end of this. We've got the Niners and Chiefs. It's a rematch of 4 years ago, but it's in Las Vegas. And I think this is, it's one of these things that I think you and I have talked. My CNN days years ago, after the 07 BCS title game, Florida, Ohio State, my producer arranged for a trip for us to go spend 3 days in Vegas to, wink, wink, do a story on can pro sports play in Vegas. It was a very worthwhile time we spent in Vegas, not gambling at all, not at all. But it was a lot of fun. But I came away with, I went in a skeptic and I came out believing that, yes, pro sports can play in Vegas. And we talked with the Maloof brothers at the Palm, was 2 of the guys we visited. And they envisioned hey, we think the one day there could be a Super Bowl here. Now, this is before there was any pro sports. I mean, the game in town was UNLV basketball, and even their heydays were past. So when you look at what Vegas has become in the, 17 years since that trip, the arenas they've built, the new hotels they've built, I think this is going to be a really special week coming up in Vegas.
Totally agree. And, look at the arc that you just described, from the Larry Johnson Goldtooth UNLV Running Rebels days to where we are now, hosting Formula One, hosting a Super Bowl. I mean, it's an incredible transformation. But, you got to remember, this is the same city that was literally built out of nothing in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
So if you can do that to build what Las Vegas is, then clearly you can go from ground zero or square one to building, the sports destination that it's quickly becoming. What a lot of people don't realize is that they think of Sin City and what happens in Vegas jokes, but in reality, the primary revenue stream for Las Vegas is conventions. That's literally what pays the bills and keeps the lights on. It's not the glitz, the glamour, or the gluttony. It's conventions. And so, sports, at least large scale sports like that, is really just an extension of the convention model. You know, prior to COVID, I'd go to the Super Bowl every year. I was privileged to watch the game twice, but for me, it's always been the one time of the year where everybody in the industry is together in one place, from your shoe reps to your media people to your front office personnel to your scouts. Everybody's in one place. It is a de facto convention. And it's like catching somebody on a Friday afternoon before a long weekend. They're in a good frame of mind. You know, it's a hell of a lot better than that Monday morning follow-up call. You know, so it was always a target rich environment. I could go and spend 2.5 days and get 6 months worth of business done. So when you look at the business aspect of what the Super Bowl brings, everybody that's in the industry tries to make a trip. I would normally go in Thursday and leave Sunday morning, or go in Friday morning and leave Sunday just before the game. As you mentioned, you know, you can get a heck of a lot done. It sounds like a wink, wink, but you can get a heck of a lot done going to the parties, going to the luncheons the following day, you know, things like that. It's the business of the business. Now, when it comes to the business that the Super Bowl produces for the NFL, that is the greatest show on earth. There is nothing outside of, you know, the World Cup final or whatever that's on that scale. I mean, you're talking about the must-see event on the American calendar, right? And given the fragmented state of media consumption, it might be the only appointment viewing left that you can dependably and reliably hang your hat on. And, you know, it's still the bellwether in terms of how we measure advertising, right? Both the cost benefit as well as the cost model itself. You know, I mean, every single year, Larry, we're still seeing record numbers. Now, it's not going at a skateboard half pipe ramp curve anymore, but it's still that rise over run every single year. And it's always, or damn near always, the most watched sporting event of the entire calendar.
Yeah, yeah. And even the only thing that's close, I think, but it's spread over 3 weeks, would be March Madness NCAA tournament. And that's because everyone does an office pool. Even those people who aren't basketball fans, they do a pool. Therefore, they're bought in because they want to see how their picks did. So, but you're right. In terms of for an afternoon for 4 hours, that's 6 to 10 Eastern time. There's no question that everybody's bought in. You're doing parties, you know, the guys hanging out, whatever the case is, wives watching halftime.
Yeah.
It's always, I mean, when I left CNN, that was about hardest adjustment, was going to, I don't want to go to a party. And finally, after several years of some heated discussions about, you know, going to her friend's house where all the kids are playing, she finally realized there's only one night out of the year you got to leave me alone. And that's Sunday. I mean, you go do whatever. It's fine. Call me selfish. That's okay. But as the former CNN sports guy, all the husbands are asking me every single question under the sun about the Super Bowls I covered. And then after halftime, all the wives were leaving, put the kids to bed. So I don't get to see the game. I just want to see the game. So I don't care who's playing. It doesn't matter. You're exactly right.
Yeah. You know, I'll tell you a quick funny story about that. Whatever year they're all kind of run together. It was recently when the Super Bowl was in Houston. And I had the absolute good fortune of getting a ticket to Commissioner Goodell's party, and John Legend's performing, and it's just kind of a who's who. And I ended up bumping into Evander Holyfield, and we end up striking up a conversation. It's Paul Tagliabue, the former commissioner, a couple of executive heavyweights, Evander Holyfield, and Pork and Beans over here. And how I wound up in that conversation, I have no idea. But we're just listening, and I turned to Evander with all sincerity, and I said, do you ever look back on that Tyson fight and just replay it? And he goes, and he ends up walking me through it from the opening bell to when he got bit to the fallout afterwards, in the most eloquent detail. And I was like a kid sitting, you know, at a campfire. It was spellbinding. It was so neat. But that's the type of, to your point, that's the type of experience that you kind of fall backwards into sometimes during Super Bowl week. It really is the only thing on the American calendar that is like that.
And people don't realize it is retired athletes, it is celebrities, it is other large name media people. I mean, it is their politicians. I mean, you're right. I mean, I over the years bumped into Hugh Hefner once. I was once walking through a Sports Illustrated party and Jerry Rice said hi, and I went, "Oh my God, that's Jerry Rice!" I'm like, Jerry Rice recognized me, but he watches CNN.
He's so cool.
Oh, it's great. But nowhere else do you have that, right? It's just, and if you're an autograph seeker, go to the airport the morning of the game, because everyone comes in, like you said, just to party and hang out, and then they all fly home to watch the game at home. Nobody stays for the game.
Yep.
I mean,
dark glasses the
yep,
next day.
exactly. Yeah. No sleep because you're at the Playboy party till 5 a.m. and
Yep.
at some local arena. But I think that Vegas has overtaken. It used to be back 30 years ago that Miami and New Orleans were the places to go for Super Bowl. I think Vegas becomes the new number one because it's Vegas. And I think whenever they want the game, they're going to get the game. You've got Vegas. You have all the infrastructure, like you said, already in place, as New Orleans did 30 years ago. And you've got the state of the art arena. And that, by the way, it's Vegas.
And you have all the entertainers there. Everybody's doing a residency. You have all the entertainment venues. It's not going to be repurposing something with duct tape and chicken wire to make it, suitable for a high level event. I mean, it really has all of the amenities, and that's literally all it's there to do.
Yeah,
that's all it's there to do. And every casino has a convention center, right, or a massive staging area. I mean, it really is a blank slate for this type of event, and it's relatively centrally located. I mean, it's the kind of latter corner over there, but it's not like it's Honolulu or something.
Right. And the airlines already have direct flights, already have special flights already built into their schedules to get you there. And so that's not a problem. I mean, I'm flying nonstop from Cincy to Vegas both ways. And I'm like, wait a minute, really? I mean,
you wouldn't think of that. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah. Why Cincy? Well, why not? I'm not going to complain about that. Definitely want to get your thoughts as well on while I've got you last couple of minutes in terms of the change 2024. The college football playoff is already here. We've talked about, you and I have talked before that we saw this coming. I mean, you and I were talking in DC 5-6 years ago about they should go do this. The dollars this is going to create as a 12-team playoff is massive, and I'm not sure we even be able to really quantify what it's going to be. Once they kind of get this settled in a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cost benefit. The schools will win financially. The conferences will win financially. The NCAA is basically a money printing machine at this point.
Yeah.
I tell you who's going to lose are the players.
Yeah.
Because you're adding, how many extra rounds of games, on top of a full season, because nobody's talking about cutting back the regular season. They're talking about adding an extra half season for those that are good enough to get to that stage. Yeah. So, I think, you don't hear load management as much in the NFL as you do the NBA, but I think it's going to be serious consideration for some of these guys that are looking at the league. It's very seldom now that if you have a major talent first or high second round prospect, that they're going to play in the bowl game if it's not for a national championship. Nobody cares about the Blue Bonnet Bowl or the Pollen or Weed Eater Bowl. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to opt out and start getting ready for the combine.
Yeah.
So I do think it's going to be really exciting. I think it almost takes on a March Madness type format. My only request is, can they just make the Rose Bowl the national championship game? Right. Is there a better environment than the sun setting there in past? Like, that to me is the Augusta National of college football. And I think it's such an iconic and such a historic venue, but I'm excited about it. I really am excited about this expansion. The credit goes to you because you're the one that called it. I simply agreed with it. I said that makes total sense because it makes sense from an eyeballs and zeros and commas standpoint. It's going to draw more attention and generate more dollars. And you were spot on. Absolutely spot on, Larry.
I appreciate that. I think it was a joint conversation, but okay. You know what? You agreed with me, so therefore you get to share some credit. But you're right about the Rose Bowl. Michigan, Alabama. What made that game even more special was that it was at the Rose Bowl.
Yes.
How iconic the Rose Bowl is. My kids have never been to the West Coast. They're both in college. We fly out to LA. And I said, listen, my son's a sports fan. We got to go out to the Rose Bowl. My wife and daughter were just as impressed just standing outside the Rose Bowl as my son was. I mean, just like you said, just the venue itself, you get chills. It's the coolest stadium in the country. And even these non-sports people, even they understood just how regal this is. So I agree with you. That should be where it should be every single year, at least for the first couple of years. Let's make it there. And then if you want to bid it out, whatever. But yeah, so we can
at least get it started, because it's going to be a big adjustment. It's going to be a big adjustment to people are excited about it, but it's a new format. So I think to create some continuity, that'd be a perfect ending spot.
Yeah. I'm with you. Hey, we will end it there because you and we can talk for hours. Doug, listen, enjoy the Super Bowl. Will you be in Vegas this year? Or is this?
No, not this year. I'm not going to make the trip this year, but I'll certainly be watching.
All right. There you go. All right, my friend. Always good to talk with you. Be good, be safe, and we'll talk with you soon.
Thanks, Larry. Appreciate you.
Appreciate that. Doug Eldridge, once again, he's with Achilles PR. He's also DLE Agency. You can follow him on Twitter, Achilles_PR. Also follow him on Twitter on DLA. Why not? Give him 2 follows because he's a good follow. I followed him for years. One of the good guys, and definitely knows his stuff when it comes to sports and sports business. All right, we've got much more coming up. Listen to me. Sports business. Listen to that. Let's get the Larry voice on sports business. All right, there we go. Don't want to diss my man Doug at all. All right, we're back with more to this. Stay with us.